Welcome to Global Health and Wellness Practitioners YouTube channel, where we're giving exposure to great practitioners while educating and promoting comprehensive health and wellness globally. I was just going to reiterate that it is an everyday practice.
Exactly, right. Most experts say that the first 30 minutes of the day is where you start, right? Where are you running to the phone and to the, just running, or do we take that pause? It's like we're coming out of sleep. So there's a transitional time there to meditate, do affirmations, and set your energy field up, and then throughout the day. I remember about 15 years ago, I was working in corporate America in White Plains, New York. And, we're indoors all day, working. And one of my colleagues who was a yoga teacher, every lunchtime, I would never forget this, she would grab me and drag me outside and we'd take a walk around the building. And we had beautiful grounds, trees, streams. It was just so but it's like you get in a work trance. I was so happy she kind of broke me out of the trance and got me outside to it's not just in the morning or on the weekend. Like I can do this every 90 minutes, or I can go outside at lunch. There are money touch points throughout the day that are available if, again, you give yourself permission that this is important. Because if I'm drained and dragging and I'm reactionary and I'm in PTSD or I'm not at my best, I'm not at my best. That there's a cost to that for everyone involved. So it's you also see resilience as being covered now by athletes, peak, in the terms of peak performance education. So it's not just about feeling good and being at your energy best. That also has a sense of, peak performance requires we're at our energy best. So for those who care about either side of that, it's become a hot topic across the globe and needed at this time, in my view, to look at, discover, and decide for yourself what might help you be more energy uplifted and resilient.
I've read once that it's like every 20 minutes that our brain will, the subconscious brain will go into a pattern of thoughts that we should reset the subconscious mind back and take a pause.
Yeah, there are wonderful apps now like Calm, various mindfulness ones that will do that. They'll have a timer every 90 minutes or 20 minutes. They'll go ding, here's your mindfulness calm break. And they'll have some music and the water going. That may be a tool, right? Sometimes in our busy lives, we need those resources to help remind us, like my friend at my corporate job. And those are available. There are 21-day, I know Deepak Chopra several times a year does a 21-day, mindfulness meditation program. I do 15-day programs on our Pulse of Joy group to help people kind of reset and kind of find that pulse of joy within to enjoy life a little bit more. So those things are all resources and tools that are helpful in that respect. But again, I hope as we go through this topic, you've gotten a little idea of what it is and why it's important. I think everything starts with why, right? What's compelling, right? And look at that 10-point scale. If you're not where you want to be, that's a good part to say, let me make some adjustments. And what Stephanie just said, and I'm saying about in the morning and throughout the day, this is the how to do it. Let's start with why, and then we can talk all day long about how. There's many books, techniques, strategies. I will give a reference to my website, re.zilliance.org, has a 7-step model called the 7 aspects of resilience, which is like an assessment. You can look at it and assess, here's things I'm doing. Here's things I could do. Here's how I could adjust myself and add to my ongoing, self-love, self-care, resilience work. So that's another resource. Invariably, when people look at the 7 keys aspects of resilience model, then there are there's mind resilience, there's emotional resilience, there's social resilience, there's sleep resilience, there's earth resilience. So all of these categories can be, discussed and dived into as ways of looking at it. And as well as the Pulse of Joy group, which is a whole other phenomenon of how to learn how to lift and pulse and joy. And people are always I have hundreds of members of that group, and they still don't entirely know what it is. What does this mean to be pulsing in joy in a world that's in chaos right now? I don't understand that. Um, I think those are good questions. How do you have joy when the world is chaotic and upside down?
Mm. Yeah.
That's a whole other show. We'll just
Yeah.
keep going, Stephanie. We'll be busy for the rest of the year. The Dalai Lama in The Art of Happiness has this beautiful quote. He says, 95% of people's unhappiness is mind-made, right? We're constantly bothered by life not showing up the way we were taught it should, right? So the mind and the ego and the pain body are always on kind of alert for something to be bothered about. And guess what? You'll find plenty to be bothered about. So joy, happiness, to some extent, is unplugging from that system, right? Coming into silence and then turning up, giving yourself permission to, like, wow, I'm going to enjoy. This is why I created the Pulse of Joy. I want to enjoy my human experience. I'm not here very long. So I can treat this like Disney World, or I can treat it like a prison. Which one's it going to be? And I, after a lot of depression and hard work, said, I think it's time. I'm going to try to enjoy. I don't care if there's a pandemic, there's snow, I'm going to go out and play. I'm just going to give myself, like, why not make it play? Why not make it fun? Why does it have to be hard, difficult, suffering, and drudgery? We know there are challenges in life. But it doesn't mean, right, most of the time, right, when we're not in an acute crisis, that we can't be dancing and playing and living. And I think that made the hugest difference for me, and why I wanted to share that. Like, it's not about, think about Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He's in Auschwitz. He's in a Nazi concentration camp. He wrote about his observations of what it took to survive that, and put this in this book, and created a whole therapy around it. And he talks a lot about making meaning out of whatever it is. You can make the meaning you want. And you can choose. And coming from him, who was in the worst of the worst situation, you say, oh, I don't have it as bad as him. So how can I use that same theory accordingly? How can I choose to make the meaning that's meaningful to me, the life that's meaningful and joyful to me? And boy, when you choose differently, it frees you. Ta-da! For another show.
The other day I was thinking, the fear of having a lot of joy is the fear of being naive, or
Yeah, you'll be silly and polyamorous and childish.
yeah,
That's
and you're like
childish.
missing the point. But then, isn't it worse to be depressed and naive? So being depressed and
Right.
ignorant.
It's almost like a guilt trip. Don't you think that there's this pressure, like, since everybody else is really somber, you have to be too, because if you're joyful, that's going to make them uncomfortable. But here's the thing that I love. In A Course in Miracles, it says that we all go to heaven in pairs, one person reaching out to the next. So the more aware person, the more joyful person is the one who lifts the next person up. So, like you were saying, if you're in the foxhole with them in depression, it's hard to lift anybody else up. So upliftment happens through each of us as we shine our light and give ourselves permission. And not everyone's going to like that. It's going to trigger them, but it's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And whoever resonates will show up. And it doesn't, I think it's important for us as light workers. It doesn't mean there's no challenges or there's not difficulties, right? You don't want to give the impression of any kind of spiritual bypassing of the human experience, because the human experience is going to be the human experience. And so I think it's we're rooted in this experience of being human, and we're also divine. So let's add a little. I think we've had enough of the heavy. Maybe, like you said, add a little sweetness to the. Let's have a little divine. Let's have a little joy to the whole equation, and see. Take it step by step. Take one step from where you are, and before you know it, maybe you have a different life in a year, where you're absolutely going, "Wow, I'm enjoying myself. I'm really happy." For no apparent reason, other than as Abraham Lincoln said, you're about as happy as you choose to be. And I think that's a powerful truth.